وننزل من القرآن ما هو شفاء ورحمة للمؤمنين ولا يزيد الظالمين إلا خسارا. وإذا الإنسان أعرض ونأى بجانبه وإذا مسه الشر كان يئوسا. قل كل يعمل على شاكلته فربمن شاكلته فربكم أعلم بمن سبيلا. أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء نحوا. سنقرئك إلا ما شاء الله إلا ما شاء الله. والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفره إنه كان توابا صدق الله العلي العظيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. در آستانه ماه مبارک رمضان هستیم. این ماه مثل سالهای دیگر میاد و میگذره و تموم میشه. هر کسی، من، شما، هر که هر جای دنیا هست، از مؤمنین، از مؤمنات، اگر تصمیم بگیره که حسن استفاده از این ماه بکنه، بیشتر موفق میشه. اما اگه تصمیم نگیره، ماه میاد و میگذره و کمتر موفق شده و حیفه. امیدوارم با تعجیل خداوند عزوجل در ظهور حضرت بقیت الله صلوات الله علیه این مشکلاتی که دنیا درگیره، بالخصوص در کشورهای اسلامی، بالخصوص مؤمنین و مؤمنات همه جا، زودتر مشکلات رفع بشه. اون چیزی که پیغمبر اسلام صلی الله علیه و آله نامش را گذاشتن فقط اسمی از اسلام میمانه، که متاسفانه الان در اکثر جاها همینه، اون مبدل بشه به واقع اسلام. با ظهور حضرت عجل الله فی فرجه الشریف این ماه در تمام دوره سال انسان باید در فکر این باشه که از عمرش بیشتر استفاده کنه، چون بعدش میره تو آخرت. این چند ساله دنیا حتی اگه 100 سال هم آدم عمر کنه مقابل آخرت هیچه. آخرت 100,000 ساله، یعنی 1000 برابر. نه، یه روز قیامتش 50,000 ساله، میلیون ساله، 100 میلیون ساله. قرآن فرموده خالدون خالدون. دو تا تذکر من عرض می کنم که در این ماه بهتر و بیشتر آمادگی انسان داره. یکی مسئله خودسازی. آدم هر قدر خوب هست میتونه یه پله بالاتر بزنه، بعد یه پله بالاتر، بعد یه پله بالاتر. یه ماه برش بگذره یه حروم نکرده باشه، شدنیه این. 6 ماه برش بگذره یه حروم نکرده باشه، 1 سال برش بگذره یه حروم نکرده باشه، یه واجب ترک نکرده باشه. واجبات و مستحب، واجبات و محرماتو که ملتزم شد، فعل واجبات، ترک محرمات. نسبت به مستحبات و مکروهات هم همینجور. مرحوم سید احمد خاتمی رضوان الله علیه که شاید 10 سال بیشتره کمتره ایشون فوت شده، ایشون از کسایی بودن که با مرحوم والد ما و مرحوم عبدالهادی شیرازی رحمت الله علیهم جمیعا هم محشور بودن، هم وکالت از هر دو داشتن. من از ایشون شنیدم، گفتن مثل عبدالهادی شیرازی، گفتم جدا از هم که شما میرزا مهدی شیرازی چجور میدونید؟ مثل عبدالهادی گفتن من یک مکروه ازش ندیدم. بعد میرزا مهدی گفتم در یه جای دیگه شما نظرتون نسبت به اسد عبدالهادی شیرازی؟ فرمود ما 25 سال با هم محشور بودیم، یک مکروه ندیدم از ایشون. میشه؟ چرا نه؟ اونا مثل ماها بودن، ما هم مثل اونا. مقام عصمت مال 14 تاست، کسی میرسه، قابلیت اصلا نیست. اما بعد از اون مقام خیلی ممکنه خدای عزوجل که قابل مزیده، سخته، خیلی هم سخته. با شیطان چه میشه کرد؟ با نفس اماره، النفس الاماره، حب و بغض داره آدم، عصبانی میشه، کمبودها، کم و زیادها. پله پله میتونه بره. ماه مبارکی فرصت به خاطر جو ماه مبارک، دعاهایی که درش هست، یکی از دعاهای شب اول ماه مبارک رمضان از حضرت صادق علیه السلام، یه دعای کوتاهیه، من میخونمش. خیلی دعاها، همش دعاهای معصومین، دعاهای معفوره، پر از قدرت‌های فضیلت. اینم یکیشه. روایت داره از صادق علیه السلام اینجور بخونه انسان در شب اول ماه رمضان. این مشتعات اینم یکیشه. اللهم ادخله علینا. این کلمه ادخله ماه رمضان داره میاد دیگه، داخل میشه. اما انسان چه کار است توی این ماه رمضان؟ خدا باید کمک کنه تا انسان بتونه مقابل نفس اماره، مقابل شیطان، مقابل شهوات، مقابل دنیا، مقابل سختی و شیرینی، مقابل چیزها بتونه جون سالم در ببره. اللهم ادخلها علینا بالسلامه. ظاهرش نه سلامت بدن. آدمی که سلامت بدن داره به نتیجه قابلیت موفقیتش بیشتر میتونه باشه. ولی اسلام، خب اینا حضرت صادق برای کی گفتن؟ برای مسلمان ها گفتن. خب مسلمونه دل این دعا رو میخونه. مسلمانی که دعا نمیخونه، این دعا رو نمیخونه، از حضرت صادق علیه السلام نمیگیره.
In one supplication, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, "Oh Allah, bring us this month with safety, health, and Islam." So Imam Sadiq here teaches us to pray that we have Islam, surrender, completely submit to Allah and His teachings. Muawiyah was amongst the Muslims. Abdullah ibn Ubay was amongst the Muslims. Or Yazid, is he a Muslim? What does Islam mean in here? It's the real Islam, the proper Islam. The Islam of Abu Dhar and the Islam of Salman and the Islam of the companions of the Prophet the companions of Imam Hussein alayhi salam on the day of Ashura. This partly is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but partly from the individual, the person himself. We need to have the resolve to do the right thing, to desist from wrong. About Balambaror. About Balambaror. Allah says they wanted to elevate him, but he followed his desire and he failed. During the time of the Prophet ﷺ, who is the most honorable of creation, there were those who were hypocrites. They were the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. They pretended to be Muslim, to have Islam, but in reality they disbelieved. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about them, humul adu. They are the enemy. There is emphasis on the hypocrites. The enemy is them. The real enemy is not the mushrikeen, the polytheists like Abu Jahl and so on. The enemy is the one who pretend to be Muslim. The companions who pretend to be Muslim, but they are in fact not Muslim. They disbelieve. The munafiq. Going back to the supplication of Sadiq alayhi salam, oh Allah, bring it to us with salam and Islam. Wal yaqeen wal iman. And that Allah brings this month with certainty, yaqeen, and iman, faith. One of the issues which may cause problems for some is uncertainty. For example, at night, does one go to the cemetery between the graves? Why not? They're all dead and they can't do any harm. But this imagination this brings fear into one's heart, that one goes in the middle of the night, goes to the cemetery. There are no wild animals, and the deceased, the dead, would not do any harm. But this imagination that he has, he may think that he hears things, but in fact there isn't. And this imagination brings about doubt. Someone said, who created God? To Allah, to the messenger. Who created Allah? How did he come along? So the supplication states that this whole month comes with certainty for me, so that I don't have these spurious doubts. And on top of that, faith, iman. We have in the Quran which says, وَقَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَا. The Bedouins said, we have become faithful, but Allah said to them, say you have accepted Islam, but you haven't become faithful. There is faith and there is Islam. We should believe the iman, the faith, to believe in the 14 Ma'soom, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Fatima al-Zahra, 12 Imam.
بر در عربی بر به گندم میگن، بر به آدم خوب میگن. الله بر، خدا خدای خوبیه. اشهد ان لک نعم الرب. بر به کار خوب میگن. خدا ماه رمضان بیاد، من هر چی از دستم میاد نگاه کردنم.
Another part of the supplication is that with the month of with the start of the month of Ramadan, I should do everything should be good. My behavior, my thinking, my supplications. It shouldn't contain anything which is negative. The holy month of Ramadan should come to me while in a good state, while I do everything that I do is good. And Allah grant me success to do everything that you like and pleases you. that you give me the success and the ability and the honor, that I do everything that you like and pleases you. Everyone, according to their ability, they can identify what that may be.
اون چیزی که خدا محبوب توست و مورد رضایت توست من به اون موافق میشم.
Everything that pleases you and you like, give me success to do that, whatever it may be.
این باباها وایساده داره نماز شب میخونه و چند داره غرق میشه. خدا اینو دوست می‌داره. نماز شب کار بدیه. اینجا بده. اینجا بده.
For example,
این نماز شب بده.
if a child falls in a river or in a pool and the father ignores that and prays the prayer of Al-Layl, the prayer of the night, does he ignore the child and continue with prayer? No. We shouldn't do mustahab acts, recommended acts, at the cost of issues which are mandatory.
نه احتیاج به دعوا نه احتیاج به کتک با عمل خودش بزرگ خانواده و کردار
The family, like your children and your wife, they need guidance, and that guidance could come in the form of conduct and behavior.
پیغمبر خدا صلی الله علیه و آله اینقدر اصحاب کار کردن همشون خوب شد اما پیغمبر کارو خودشون کرد.
So we should do everything we can to help others and provide guidance to others. The Prophet ﷺ spent 2 decades trying to guide the people. Not all of his companions were guided, but he has to do what he has to do, whatever is his duty.
کار واجب انجام بده امر معروف کنه با یک کار حرام کتک بزنه.
So husband and wife, they should help one another through their conduct and so on to provide guidance, but in a proper way. If someone wants to give guidance to someone by hitting them, that is not right, not through the haram act, through the act, through a conduct which is appropriate and permissible.
عزم یعنی تصمیم این تا تأکید تا در لغت عرب چند جا تا وحدت هست.
In a hadith,
عزمتون یعنی عزم مؤکد یعنی تصمیم قرص و قایم.
a resolve,
تصمیم حسابی.
a solid resolve
عزمتون
is required in order to gain the success, to do what pleases Allah. So at the outset of the holy month of Ramadan, you need to make a resolution to do one's utmost to reap benefits from the holy month of Ramadan. So the interaction between husband and wife, neighbors, student and teacher, ruler and and the citizen. These days, the people are troubled by their rulers. Partly, to address these issues, we need to prayer, tawassul bi Ahlul Bayt, and contemplation, how to find the best solution. And of course, some of the things cannot be done. And for those things which cannot be solved, we can't find any solution for them, then we just have to observe sabr, which is perseverance, patience. According to one narration, Prophet Moses ala nabiyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam was going for his munajat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On his way to a poor man, and he asked Moses as to where he was going, and he said he's going for munajat. And the poor man asked Prophet Moses to ask Allah to help him. And Moses raised the issue about the poor with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah said that it's not suitable for him to be rich, because he will So now that Prophet Moses intervened, Allah said, okay, I'll make him rich, and he became rich, and he had a degree of arrogance, and apparently he had used a weapon to kill someone. And Prophet Moses saw him being arrested by the citizen, taken to the authorities. So he doesn't have the capacity to be the sort of rich that he wants. So if someone is poor, then they should do their best and do whatever is necessary to achieve their goal if they are poor. But otherwise, if they did everything, and they couldn't manage to achieve whatever they wanted, they should observe sabr and perseverance, patience. In one narration from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet said to Abu Dhar that you should identify yourself, count yourself amongst the people of cemetery, that amongst the dead, that is. Now, when we look in the cemetery, we see so many people who died young, and so many people who died old. Then, when someone reminds himself of this, that one day they will die, then it will lessen the impact of the difficulties that one has.
باحاله چون بهتر قول در نفس کنه از خواب بوده کمتر بدی ازش صادر شد اونی که نه پشیمون آخرش چی
So those who see the end of the road and that they will die, so they probably will be easier for them to put up with the difficulties that they have. Whereas those who don't, they feel sad and regret, and at the end of the day, the outcome will be the same. So they will die as well. But then, at least the one who is preparing himself for death better copes with difficulties than the other.
سلام علیکم دو تا کلمه سلام میکن وقتی که مرد تا 1000 سال و بیشتر یه دونه حسنه دیگه اضافه نمیتونه مگر تو دنیا خودش خیرات برای خودش که صدقه جاریه داشته باشه اولادی که خودش خوب تربیتشون کرده
while they are here
اما دیگه اضافه
they can endeavor to do good deeds which will be of benefit to them in the hereafter. But if they die, they cannot do any more good deeds. Is it possible that one in 25 you do makruh, a discouraged act? Like color, which earlier. Of course, the issue of haram is one shouldn't do that. But to avoid makruh requires discipline. And this requires a lot of endeavor on the part of the individual, a lot of determination. You see some people who they lie, they cheat, or they do backbite. Others, they are determined not to say a single lie or a single backbiting. The best start at the beginning of the month of Ramadan, one should start from the holy month of Ramadan. Decision to have that resolve. Then easy, you have a target set to it. You'll get used to it. There's a hadith which says, Al-khayru aada, al-sharru aada. Doing good is a habit, can be a habit. And doing evil also becomes a habit. So, the faithful men and women, from now, they should make the resolve to do good. Recite, read and study this dua supplication from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. That how that Allah brings this holy month to the individual in that state. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring this month in a good state. But we should endeavor, make sure we don't fail in our determination and resolve. That backbite or lie or smear or those who are involved in teaching, they should go out of their way to continue their teaching. There are scholars who throughout the year And during the month of Ramadan, where it used to be the teaching used to stop, he started it in the month of Ramadan. Any individual, husband or wife, shop owner, teacher, physician, a ruler, anyone have their duty, and in their capacity, in their duty, they should start working on disciplining the self. So one should try this self about himself and encourage others to work on self-discipline. This is one issue. The other issue, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, let the present, those who are present, convey to those who are absent, to propagate the message, the sermon of the Prophet of Ghadir in that particular case, or one should propagate and convey this message. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam, and the 12 Imams. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Ghadir sermon and occasions. He emphasized and propagation of the message. Tabligh, isn't it wajib? Yes, it is. Tabligh, or conveying and broadcasting the teachings about the halal, the haram, and the mustahab and the makruh. Other issues like creed, belief, the duties of the individual, then these are wajib kifai. And if there is sufficient, this is not sufficiently, then it becomes wajib for every single individual. So this tabligh in every aspect, every particular aspect, has become wajib aini. Because the majority don't know. Who is responsible for this? The individual is also is responsible because they need to endeavor to find out about it. And also the person who knows, but he doesn't, he fails in hearing the message. So they are both responsible. The individual concerned and the person who is able to convey those teachings to others. Some scholars say that creeds should be conveyed to all. It should be about the oneness of Allah, the creed, the message of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Imam. And what about the rest?
منفی الکفایه نیست، واجب عینی.
This is not just conveying and spreading the message. It's no longer wajib kifaya, it's wajib aini. That is, it is wajib for every single individual. The Holy Quran states, Bismillah ar-Rahman إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح. 8. When the victory of Allah comes, you will see, and you saw the people in throngs, they enter Islam. The polytheists, the Jews, the Christians. It's stated in the Bihar. In hundreds, or sometimes thousands. The year of delegates. Delegations used to come from the tribes to become Muslim at the hands of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, do we have that? People in throngs, in their thousands entering Islam today? Whose responsibility is it? That happened at the Prophet, but does it happen now? Now we have even more facilities, the mass media. Given the universities and the seminaries, so it's easier to do. In Muslim countries, are the Jews turning to Islam? In a Muslim country, in the last 10 years, how many Jews became Muslim, or how many Christians became Muslim? Or how many Zoroastrians became Muslim? Those who are not Ahlul Bayt, do they become Muslim? Therefore, it's the duty of everyone. According after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the co-leaders of the teachings, with the exception of the period when Amir al-Mu'mineen ruled, Bani Umayyah, Bani Abbas. They did their utmost to deviate from Islam. Because of some Muslim or governments or individuals, the bad conduct that they had made people repel from Islam. If you do good things, it will spread. If you do evil, it will spread also. So people will react according to that conduct. If you do good things, if good thing is done and spread throughout the community, then they will react accordingly. One of the most important things, which is wajib aini, because there is no sufficiency for it. the issue of the real Islam. We have a false Islam, and it's anything but name. And this is cited in the Quran as worse than kufr, worse than disbelief. The false Islam is worse than disbelief. That spread during Bani Umayyah, Bani Abbas, or Uthman. And there is the true Islam. We need to spread this true Islam so that people are convinced what Islam is about. There's so much deviation from the teaching of Islam. It's not possible to rectify it. Yes, of course it is. It requires a lot of planning, a lot of endeavor, a lot of effort and time. Yes, it's not easy, it's hard, but it has to be done. It is wajib. There is so much emphasis by the Prophet ﷺ about the imamate of the 12 imam and about the tabligh, the conveyance of the teachings about the 12 imam. The true Islam should be separated from the false Islam, which is Islam in name, nothing else. They killed Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and it's wajib to kill him, and he's deviated from religion. This is a time which is only 50 years after the. That means hundreds of the Sahaba were there at the time. The situation is so deteriorated that they give a fatwa that he has left the religion of his grandfather. So they went and killed Imam Hussein, seeking nearest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the false Islam. I've come across somewhere, I can't remember, that Mansur al-Abbasi, that if I say a million times Allah's curses be upon him, it's not enough. He Mansur came and summoned Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and he addressed him, "Oh, the enemy of Allah." Al-Mansur al-Abbasi addressed Imam Sadiq, "Oh, Ya Adu Allah, oh, enemy of Allah." In the book Al-Bahr al-Zakhar, Imam Sadiq could have annihilated him, but he's not supposed to. Mankind should be tested. He should. The tabligh, or conveying the teachings and broadcasting the teachings, is the most important.
بساط اهل کو چند هزار 8 سال قبل کشور خدا رو بلد بود
The people who are deviant have thousands of television channels or video channels or tens of thousands, and they are spreading deviation throughout. How many of them do spread the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? In the name of Islam and in the name of oneness of Allah, Tawheed, they behead Daesh and the rest. Doing so, in beheading them, they seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is their fault, it is their crime. But it's also the fault of those who could have spread guidance but didn't. At least it might have reduced them in number. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The polytheists, the infidels of Mecca, fought him for 20 years. They tortured his companions like Ammar ibn Yasir and so. And the Prophet emigrated from Mecca to Medina. Also, some of. But after the Prophet conquered Mecca, did he force anyone to Islam? Did he force a single person to Islam? No. Isn't that the beauty of Islam? Which is unparalleled. A ruler becomes victor, but he doesn't force the people to do anything. He doesn't compel them to his religion. They used to come and swear at the Prophet in his face. But the Prophet ﷺ never reacted in a similar manner. We have people, it's narrated, when Imam Ali alayhi salam was a ruler in Kufa, and one of the people stood up, and the followers of Imam Ali were around, stood up to attack him, but Imam Ali stopped them from doing so. Even though he deserved to be killed. We have such gems, but we need to use them to the masses. Yes, it's hard, it's difficult, it takes effort, so be it. Whether you are studying a seminary or university or any other activity, you need to do your bit.
کرد که تو قرآن اومده. راستش اگه اینا نبود تو قرآن روایت دادن دلش نمیخواست بگه نقلش کنه. در عربی کلمه ذلیل اگه گفتن
one of the so-called companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was behind the Prophet. He make a statement, one of those companions. One of those companions said by the Prophet back to Medina. The most humiliated in history on earth, that is referring to the Prophet, he will be expelled from Medina. The Prophet ﷺ, who was the head of state at the time, he never even, not only he didn't do anything to him, he didn't react to him. Even his son, who was faithful, he asked the Prophet to punish his dad, but the Prophet refrained. We have such gems, and we need to introduce these gems to the
امیر المؤمنین صلوات الله علیه 4 سال خورده خراج مصر براشون میبند. حضرت یک درهم ازش براشون
Mu'min alayhi salam ruled for about 4.5 years, and the income from Egypt used to come to Imam Ali alayhi salam. He never used a single dirham for himself. Muawiyah ruled for 20 years after Imam Ali. Used to come to Muawiyah
دینار ذهب
3 million gold coins.
3 میلیون دینار طلا هر سال، یعنی به قیمت
Every year 3 million gold coins
از مصر تنها
to Muawiyah. Each 1,000 gold coins was 3 kilos, 3 kilograms.
هر دینار که 3 کیلو طلا باشه 1 میلیون دینار 3 تن طلا میشه. 3 میلیون میشه 9 تن طلا.
So it used to be 3 million gold coins. It's 9 tons of gold.
یک سلسش کنار میگذاشت میگه مال من.
Muawiyah used to keep a third of that. Used to keep a third of it for himself personally. Gives these to the people, so that people know who Muawiyah is, who Ali is. Isn't this wajib, mandatory? Up to now, is Muawiyah.
امیر المؤمنین صلوات الله علیه در طول تاریخ حکومتشون فحش بهشون دادن، جنگ کردن.
Amir alayhi salam, throughout his reign, people used to curse him and swear at him, or reacted likewise.
آدم کشته بود، فحش داده بود، بازم فحش میداد به امیر المؤمنین. وقت ببینید
other than and to commit murder, other than that, Imam Ali never showed any reaction to them. In the case of Muawiyah, in one instance, Muawiyah killed 30,000 Muslims. More than 30,000. More than 30,000. In one instance he killed. Men, women and children. The Abbasid ruler, Al-Mutawakkil, he killed thousands because it was suspected that one among them had said something against the Mutawakkil. Examples of false Islam. On the day of they committed unparalleled, heinous crimes, and then afterwards, against Imam Hussein, afterwards they went and prayed in congregation, in Jama'ah. This is the false Islam, Islam by name only. It has nothing to do with the essence of Islam. Both Muawiyah and Al-Mutawakkil, they send their tyrant to kill people. One of them is called Bugha, who was infamous in killing people. He came to Qom, and people were petrified that he had arrived at Qom. Mutawakkil sent Bugha or someone else. In a small town where the population was about 50,000, and they had refused to do some certain things that the ruler had said. He poured gasoline, burned all of them, every single one of them, alive. These are the practices of the false Islam. And we have Ibn Arabi in his work, who is praised by many people. Ibn Arabi praises Mutawakkil. The same virtue that he gives to the Prophet ﷺ, he gives it to Al-Mutawakkil. So just like he had Khilafah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ibn Arabi says Al-Mutawakkil had that virtue, that Khilafah. This is how Ibn Arabi praises Al-Mutawakkil, the absolute time. This is the example of false Islam. To make a distinction make a separation for the people, between the true Islam and false Islam. This tabligh, this conveying and spreading the teachings, has to be done. It is mandatory, it's wajib. We have to teach our youth so that our youth will propagate that. It's stated that Mansur al-Dawaniqi, he torched the house of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam.
قدیم آهن که نبوده، یا خشت بوده یا چوب. وقت چوب آتش میگیره دیگه. مسجد پیغمبر صلی الله علیه و آله که ساختن خود پیغمبر خدا و اصحاب. میبینید
The houses used to be made of wood and clay.
زمینی بود آزاد کندن و خشت میگذاشتن. ابتداش قد یه ذراع، یعنی 2 وجب تقریبا ارتفاعش. و هر مثلا 1 متر 2 متر 3 متر یه تیکه از درخت خرما میگذاشتن که بگیره اینا رو. حالا هم آهن میذارن تیکه به تیکه. و خونه رو آتیش میزدن، شهر رو و کجا رو آتیش میزدن؟ در خونه رو آتیش میزدن. منصور امر کرد در خونه حضرت صادق آتیش زدن.
He set fire to the door of the house.
دالون داره بعد در، بعد میره تو حیاط. خونه حضرت صادق اینجور بود. وقتی این دهلیز یه سقف داره، دالون سقف.
And the corridor which leads to the
آتیش گرفت، چوبا آتیش گرفت.
house, the woods used in the corridor burnt in fire.
توی این آتیشا رد شدن. وقتی میفرمودن یا هی یا یه بار انا ابن اعراق الثرى انا ابن ابراهیم الخلیل.
Imam Sadiq,
اعراق جمع عرق یعنی رگ.
as he passed through the fire of his house,
جذور عربی فصیح میگن.
I am the son
انا ابن اعراق الثرى یعنی من فرزند ریشه های زمین هستم، من امروز نیستم.
I'm the son of the roots of the earth.
زن و بچه‌شون، دختراشون، بچه‌هاشون پریشون شدن تو خونه. وقتی که اینجا
His wife and children were
در خونه میاد، از کجا درن؟
terrified.
از کجا برن؟
There was no escape for them because the entrance was on fire.
داشت یه نفر اومد خدمت حضرت صادق علیه السلام. این حضرت گریان هستن. گفت خب الحمدلله.
The following day, someone came to see Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and he found him weeping.
نه من این پریشونی بچه‌ها و دخترها و اینا رو دیدم، یادم اومد از حرق خیام روز عاشورا.
And when he inquired, the man who came to visit Imam Sadiq, when he inquired about the reason for weeping, he said, "Oh, my wife and children running around, it reminded me of the wife and children of Imam Hussein alayhi salam on the day of Ashura, when the tents were set ablaze. And women and children were running on torched earth, scorched earth. The earth was on fire." It reminded him of the story of Ashura alayhi salam to Imam Sadiq. In order for the story of Ashura to reach Kufa, which is a few miles away, the family of Imam Hussein had to suffer so much in order this message reaches them. Now today, the faithful Shia, the young Shia, those who are devout must plan and work hard in order to convey the true Islam to the masses. They must make the distinction between the false Islam and the true Islam for the masses. Because people are repelled and disgusted by the teachings of the false Islam. Or they may be fooled and cheated. The male and female, they must make an effort to convey the message of the true Islam. during the few days that they are on this planet, on this earth, in this life, before it's too late. If you know these things and you don't convey the messages, when you die, what will you answer? What answer will you give to? This month is the spring of the year, the month of, and it's time for self-discipline. The month of Ramadan is the best time for this process. I hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the tawfiq and success to all, to me and everyone. This month of Ramadan to convey the youth, male and female, that they make a distinction between false Islam and the true Islam. Without causing hardship or insult on others or anyone. There is no coercion. With good manners, just as the Quran, that Allah's Messenger is a beautiful role model for you. All 14 Ma'asum are good role models. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he entered Islam during his reign. We must learn from Allah's Messenger, from Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen. The Futuhat, as we have a narration from Ahlul Bayt, all the Futuhat Islam, they are all wrong. All the wars of battles of the Prophet were self-defense. All the Islamic Futuhat are false and incorrect. الرحلة المدرسية.
الرحلة المدرسية والمدرسة السيارة. این دو تا توی یکی از اینا دونه
One of the scholars, Al-Balaghi,
بیان میکنه که یک دونه شروع جنگ با پیغمبر خدا نبوده.
Allama Balaghi has two books, Al-Madrasa al-Mustafa, and he's mentioned there that every single battle that the Prophet ﷺ engaged in was defensive.
معاویش اینه، متوکلش اینه، مأمونش اینه.
محمد وعلى الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.